You're still watching Morning at NTV. Right there, we are going to take a very short breather and return with our next conversation. We are going to be talking about agricultural insurance. What did you know about that? Did you know that if you are a farmer and you venture into agriculture without any form of insurance, you're actually putting yourself in a big dilemma just in case a flood washes away your crops or just in case a drought scorches all your plants? You'll be left with no reprieve. But if you're insured, you'll be getting some kind of help from your insurer in that case. We're coming back with that conversation right here on Morning at NTV.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Okay, right about now, I have John Makosia, a consortium officer at Agro Consortium Uganda Insurance Association, and he joins me for this conversation on agriculture and insurance right now on this show. Very good morning.
Good morning.
So please, let me understand the dynamics of a farmer venturing into agriculture minus having insurance first. What would be the immediate ramifications of to that farmer venturing into agriculture without any form of insurance?
Of course, one of the things that would affect them first is if they are farmers who have borrowed money from a financial institution, what is most likely to happen is their capacity to pay back the loan is likely to be eroded over time. Because definitely when you borrow money for agriculture and your intentions are you are going to use your harvest to pay back the loan, in the event you suffer loss as a result of drought or you name it, whatever risk that has hit you, then your ability to pay back that loan will not be there. Then you have those cases of people who use their own savings, for example, or family funds, let's say, to invest in agriculture. In the event they suffer loss, that means their capacity to invest in agriculture keeps going down over time. First season, you may have started with 20 million. Come next season after loss, chances are you will not have the 20 million that you started with. You may have to begin with 15 or 10 million. And then over time, your ability even to invest in agriculture, assuming you have had 3 successive or 2 successive bad seasons, you may not even be able to come back into farming again.
You may not be able to come back at all.
Yeah, I've had instances or experiences with farmers who have not been able to come back because their capacity over time has been eroded. Because there are cases whereby even their morale itself goes down. Somebody invests 15 million, loses about all of it or 10 million. Then they come back next season with 10 or less. They invest that, they lose that again. Then chances of them coming back, they are demoralized, they are not interested in agriculture, they leave farming and they don't even have any good story to tell. There have been experiences of that kind. So definitely insurance is the way to go. You safeguard against those risks. Should there anything go wrong, then you are able to bounce back and continue what you'll have to do or what you expect to get going forward.
So what kind of covers are you offering the farmer?
We have 2 broad categories of covers that we provide. And one of them is multiple peril, where we cover multiple risks. Let's say, for example, you have fire, uncontrollable pests, uncontrollable diseases. You have, let's say, drought, excessive rainfall, hailstorms, windstorms, and you name it. Then on the other hand, we have, of course, like now that would be in crops. And then when it comes to livestock, you have things like lightning, death, or even accidents on the farm. The animal dies as a result of an accident, other animals knocking it, or them fighting, and an animal gets injured, or while they're moving around, the animals break their limbs, and eventually the vet recommends the animal has got to be slaughtered. In that case, we cover all those risks. Then on the other hand, we have what we call the weather index insurance, which covers mainly drought and excessive rainfall, which of course these are now major risks that are affecting most of the farmers, and they don't have much to do about them. And of course, this is where now we encourage, of course, many of the farmers to take up the product.
Suppose I'm a farmer in a place that is prone to landslides or floods, and I'm hit. What is and I'm not insured, what would be the immediate ramifications in that regard?
Of course, the first thing you do is in the event you are hit, it's very important you bring it to our attention. Let's say, of course, at the time you are getting the policy, you dealt with one of the insurance company's agents, or you dealt directly with the insurance company, you inform them immediately within at least 48 hours. Bring it to our attention. we will immediately assign an inspector or a loss adjuster who will come and assess the extent of loss that you've suffered. Because there are those instances like, for example, hailstorm. Hailstorm can cut half the farm. It could be the whole farm, or it could just be a portion of the farm. So you may not have suffered total loss, but the kind of hailstorm that has hit you to an extent determines the kind of loss you have suffered. So we come and verify that. Then after which, together with you, we agree on how much should be compensated to you, and eventually we pay you the money that you have suffered loss.
What if I do not contact my agent?
Yep.
And because I assessed my my inputs, then I deduced that, you know what, this is a low yield product and I might not get paid. But still, would I still be covered by the insurance company, even though I didn't contact the agent after the floods hit?
Of course, in that case, it puts us in a difficult situation to determine the extent of loss. But of course, it would be wise and important that you bring it to our attention so that we are able to assess that loss. If you don't, then we will not be able to compensate you, because we will not know, first of all, you suffered loss, and eventually, of course, it affects your bottom line in a way.
So what would be your expert advice for these farmers who are venturing into agriculture without any form of insurance?
Of course, our cry and plea to them is they should be part of, they should take up agriculture insurance, because the government of Uganda has come out and it's supporting the scheme, and to an extent actually is paying part of the premium. The premium is the amount of money you pay for you to be able to get agriculture insurance. So under the Uganda Agriculture Insurance Scheme, the government is paying 50% of the money that is entitled farmers, that is for the small-scale farmers, the money that farmers are supposed to pay. 50% of the premium was paid by government, and then for the large-scale farmers, government pays 30%, and then the farmers who are operating in areas like the one you mentioned, let's say disaster-prone area, where they are prone to floods, landslides, those places, then the government pays 80% of the premium for them.
And you also have areas that are hit by massive droughts, and they might have to embark on irrigation schemes to actually keep their farms alive. What incentives are you offering that group?
Of course, now for the farmers who are working in those areas where they've got to use irrigation, of course, irrigation also has its own limitations. Reasons being, you must have a constant source of water. But then for many times for the smallholder farmers, they are not in position to be able to get, they don't have a source of water nearby for them to be able to survive a dry season. And we've had instances where farmers have had to make a choice, because of the limited amount of water they have at their source, to either focus on irrigating the crop or the livestock. And I've heard of cases where farmers have sacrificed the crop over the livestock. And in so doing, they've ended up suffering loss in those areas. So we do encourage them to still take on agriculture insurance, because even the irrigation you're talking about, it comes at a higher cost, because you've got to invest in the equipment, you've got to invest even the fuel, let's say if you are running the pumps for you to be able to irrigate. So would still advise you to take on insurance.
What are the other advantages besides covering risks? What are the other advantages of insuring your farm against any external factors that might befall you?
One of the specific objectives for providing this agriculture insurance was to unlock credit to agriculture, because initially there was a bit of reluctance by financial institutions to lend to agriculture, because what happens is they give you the money, you are alive, drought comes, destroys the crop, you are unable to pay back the money. So the banks looked at, or the financial institutions looked at agriculture as being high risk. So even the lending money, they were a little bit reluctant. But now with agriculture insurance coming on board, they are more comfortable, and we have seen financial institutions lending more to farmers these days. So definitely, by you taking insurance, it unlocks opportunities for you to be able to get credit.
Are we only talking about agriculture, or also horticulture and aquaculture being covered in your insurance schemes?
Yeah, horticultural crops are there. We also have poultry, livestock, and then we also have fish farming. We do also provide cover for those. Yeah.
And what else?
Basically, that is the broad. Basically, that is what is being insured. Because what happens is, under the scheme right now, the farmers, there are priority enterprises that were advised by government, which enterprises government is supporting at the moment, those are the ones which are benefiting from the premium subsidy. But if you are dealing with any other crop outside the scheme, then still we will arrange for insurance for you, only that this time you will pay full premium for yourself. But for those that are being promoted by government, then you get subsidized premium. You pay less than what you would normally have paid.
And is there any cover for farmers who are actually dealing with the locust invasion in some parts of northern Uganda and other districts?
Yeah, locust invasion, that falls in the category of the uncontrollable pests, because definitely locust has become a bit of a challenge and a problem, and definitely under the uncontrollable pests, locust is covered. Yeah.
And the whole climate change issue, do you have a cover at Agro Consortium for climate change as it is?
Yeah, of course, climate change has resulted into, let's say, drought, excessive rainfall in some cases. Like if you look at last year, the first season, what happened is farmers suffered drought, most parts of the country, for which we compensated farmers. Then come second season, it was a lot of rainfall. So you find that the rain in itself being too much has the way it affects productivity. You end up harvesting less than you should have harvested initially. So in those cases, of course, definitely, the weather index insurance, the one I spoke about, is one of the products. And then the multi-peril is also, on the other hand, covers still drought and excessive rainfall.
Say there's a flood, it kills all my livestock, washes away all my crops, and even the farmer's life is also lost. Does the cover, does this insurance policy or product cover only the crops and the animals, or also the life of the farmer?
The products that we are providing, of course, look at mainly the production risks, which would be the loss of the animals and the crop. But on the other hand, there are those clients, of course, like you would find like financial institutions. They are interested in also the life of the farmer. So they tend to get a hybrid. I mean, they request for the agriculture insurance, then also the life insurance for the farmer. So in that case, of course, we do partner with a life insurer, so that in that case, the farmer is also insured, that the farmer's life is also insured as a result. Yeah.
And of course, we are talking about marijuana cultivation in Uganda. Cabinet is yet to approve 15 more companies to get their licenses. 2 are already growing and cultivating and also exporting the marijuana from Uganda to other countries. Now let's talk about the insurance bit. How ready are you? How ready is the Agro Consortium? Have you put yourself in a better position to offer insurance policies to these many companies and people who are going to be actually coming up to veer into this new lucrative industry? Are you ready for that vast number of people?
Of course, we are willing and ready to engage them to find out what are the risks they are looking at.
So what will be the dynamics? What are we looking at?
Of course, we are looking at the risks they are interested in. And of course, if drought is one of them, if it is theft and things like that, then those are things we can discuss, we engage, and we see how we can carry it forward. But definitely there's room for discussion, and we can talk.
So what kind of products are you offering them?
Of course, we've not had any of them approaching us as yet, but look, because given the size of the farms, chances are we would be looking at the multi-peril kind of insurance, yeah, because they would be looking at multiple risks for them.
And then when it comes to issues of theft, I've grown my marijuana very well, but en route to the market, it's stolen in the middle right there. What do I do? Am I still covered?
Of course.
Or are you covering only the material or the merchandise in the farm?
We start with the merchandise on the farm, but even on the farm, we also have limitations because we are looking at the production risk to start with. The moment it goes into storage, or it is in transit, let's say to let's say somewhere else, where it was a dealer or an aggregator, then there is also a different kind of cover, which would also advise you to take on. Because under the scheme, we only look at production, but of course there are other extensions that can be provided through our other products that can be given farmers.
And are you looking at those options? Because
yeah, of course,
it's really going to be important.
Of course, the reality, we cannot run away from that. And of course, we do advise the farmers to take on those products. I'll give a simple scenario. We had a farmer who was importing animals from abroad. They were bringing in pigs. And of course, our cover begins after we have inspected the animals and we have confirmed they're in good health. Then our cover kicks in at that point. But these animals are moving from another country, coming to Uganda. Now, of course, there's a risk that these animals could die in transit. Anything could happen to them. So, of course, there is what we call the marine cover. So we advise the client to take on the marine cover, so which would cover the animals from the time they leave the country of origin until when they reach Uganda. When they're on the farm, then our cover kicks in at that point. So there are other products that would cover the farmer before production and even after production, which would advise them on, and they can take on those.
Any other policies our farmers that might want to get from Agro Consortium that you have in store for them?
Well, right now, of course, the biggest challenge we've been having, because with the national scheme, the way it's been there for the last 4 years. And the outcry we've been having is we've not been able to reach the farmers where they are. And of course, given that we just have about 10 insurance companies providing the agriculture insurance with limited branch network, because you'll find there are some districts where you will go and you will not even find a single insurance company. In those cases now, we are looking at developing the delivery channels. And on the 17th of February, we signed an MOU with the Uganda National Farmers Federation, where we are looking at capitalizing on the network of the Farmers Federation. Because we know they're in 86 districts to start with, the district farm associations. Then that aside, they also have cooperatives or farm organizations that are going up to village level. So through that network, we are able to reach even the smallest of the farmers as far as, wherever they may be located. So that partnership definitely is going to take us a long way, because we also know the Farmers Federation to an extent has about 3 million farmers who are under its membership. So definitely the reach is going to be there through that.
Why do you think there has been low information penetration as far as agriculture insurance is concerned?
The challenge has been probably the network to be able to reach the farmers where they are. And then, of course, the other issue is you have multiple radio stations with so many programs. Then at times you may air your program through one station and somebody is listening to another one. So you find that at times being able for you to reach everyone through all the stations becomes quite expensive. So it's an issue of funding also to be able to create awareness. And of course, on one side, you have the businessmen or the insurers. They are looking at return on investment. But there's also the other responsibility whereby awareness needs to be created, because with this subject of insurance is a little bit sensitive. Somebody may need to hear this message several times before they do take on the product. So that is where we call on development agencies, organizations to be able to come in and fund and support the awareness aspect of it. But otherwise, right now you have few agents who go specific areas, and many of them you find that they are operating just around the towns. But then you have majority of the farmers in the countryside. So definitely we need to be able to reach them with this information, create awareness, so that even by the time you reach the farmer, they are not hearing about agriculture insurance for the first time, but it is over. They've been hearing it, then eventually when you reach them, it is not a new subject to them.
And what is the Agro Consortium doing in that regard to help with the dissemination of information to these rural areas so that these farmers are already in the know? What are you doing as the Agro Consortium?
Of course, to start with, I mentioned we are partnering with all agents or organizations that would be, that have the network that reaches the farmers wherever they are. For example, I mentioned the Uganda National Farmers Federation being one of them. Then you are looking at partnering with development agencies, just like I've made a cry right now to whoever may be out there and they would like to support us in this cause, they can come on board. For example, we already have ABI Trust supporting us in creation of the awareness, the promotional materials. So all those are partners who are already on board. And then we have also ready teams to go out to train farmers, talk to them, and create this awareness.
Speaking of training farmers, do you think it's high time we started started a course maybe at Makerere University where we can get our farmers from all over the country to get trained in agriculture or get some skills? Because I saw some leaders do the same with the Boda men on Friday. They said, you know what, we're going to start something at Makerere University where we train these Boda men on a mobile application. You get my point.
Right.
To get to know what do's and don'ts they should be looking out for before venturing into the whole Boda business. Now I'm looking at farming also. Can we also do the same? A course at Makerere University where we get all the farmers around the country in the same room to actually talk about and get some information when it comes to insurance, not only insurance but other mechanisms they can use to grow their crops on a mass scale.
Yes, it's possible, and a number of we've done a number of things that we've done, like for example, through the Makerere University farm in Kabanyoro and up Curad, we've actually been able to train farmers there, and then also, of course, we've engaged Makerere University to also have those courses put into the part in the curriculum, and then that aside, we have the insurance training college, initially the Uganda Insurance Institute. Also, there are times when they do invite farmers to train them on agriculture insurance. So all these initiatives are already in place.
Parting shots for the farmer who is watching the show right now. What should be at the back of my mind before I venture into agriculture?
Of course, one of the things definitely, as you are looking at guaranteeing your investment, definitely think about agriculture insurance as one of the ways to make sure you are able to walk home with at least an income even after a very bad season.
John Mukosia, a consortium officer at Agro Consortium. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to us. You've been very helpful. Right about now, we're going to take a very, very short breather and I shall return with your birthdays. This is Morning at NTV.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
All right, now if you're celebrating your birthday on this beautiful Monday, the 2nd of March, the year 2020, I'm going to just be giving you a shout out right here on the show. This reminder, like 2 or 3 minutes. I have Jovet Bagumiram Binji. You're saying happy birthday to myself. Thanks so much, Lord, for adding another year. Yes, happy birthday to you, Mr. Jovet. I also have Zara T. Pounds who says happiest birthday to my young little sister, that is Sanyu Winnie. I hope, can't wait to celebrate with you a camp of faith. Well, happy birthday in advance to you. And we also have Mbabazi Jennifer saying, yes, I'm here. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you, Mbabazi. I also have Jensi Nalukenge who says, Shakira Mash, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Shakira. I have Jackie Lutaya. Mary, love much soul. It's a bit of a convoluted message. Let's move on to Mutuzo Jennifer who says, mine is on Wednesday, 4th March, so happy birthday to you in advance. Angel Paul, happy birthday. Maweje Nathan, happy birthday to you, sir. We also have Kamugisha JB, Tumwesi J Barnabas, Muhwezi John Bosco, happy birthday to you too. The message is from Kamugisha JB. And finally, Sharon Leonida is saying happy birthday, Maggie Shaki, and happy birthday to all the kings and queens who happen to be celebrating your birthdays in this month of March. Brand new month of March, and do expect the best of the best right here on Morning at NTV, Monday to Friday day. Romeo Busiku will be here to keep you acquainted with the latest information that you need. We'll do this tomorrow, same time, 6:30 a.m. all the way to 9 a.m. Right about now, we're going to leave a room for our BBC Money Daily. Let's interface at around 1 p.m. for another update on NTV at 1. My name is Romeo Busiku. Have yourselves a blessed morning. This is Morning at NTV.